in dating, but something still isn't working. She may not be as interested. So here's why. This is about the number one piece missing in your dating life that nobody talks about. Nobody's being real about. Everybody out there, especially people making content on dating and relationships, whether it's men for women, they may not necessarily being real. Maybe they're giving you a lot of black and white things and things to check off the boxes for you to do. And that's great. You always want to have a strategy as a man, whether it's in life, dating, or relationships. But there's stuff that goes deeper that you may want to hear that's missing when it comes to dating. So we're going to talk about it here. So welcome. Drop your comments, questions below. I would love to have you chime in on the conversation. And one of the missing pieces, because there isn't solely just one, I know I said that, but to simplify the title of this conversation so that it's clear, focused, and direct for men, is starting with attraction for women isn't logical. It's actually more emotional than you may think. And I know this is different for men because attraction for you is all about visual, right? That's how you're wired. It's all about looks, which is great. Like, no one's knocking that. And I acknowledge that and understand that women and men are very different when it comes to this. And if we can come together and respect each other's differences, not judge them, just try to understand them more, then we can be more in harmony in this modern dating world that seems to be so difficult and strifled with hardship. um, because things have changed, right? Especially with the boom of the internet and social media and dating apps. We're relating to each other differently. But this is one thing that women and men are still wired the same, whether it was back in 1950 or now, right? This year, 2025. So attraction again is emotional for women, not logical. So you can't logic your way into a woman's heart. It's never going to work because she's going to feel that. She's going to feel that you're constantly here around how to get her versus making sure that you understand and are showing this through your actions, not just your words, about how you are making her feel, right? Women fall in love with how you make them feel. That's why what's up, Joe? What's up, Chris? Welcome. You have a face of an angel, Joe says. Thank you. That's my superpower, right? As far as being with men, and I think I just have a energy that helps them to open up, which I'm very honored to be in that position, and I don't take it lightly when I get into working deeper with men, like in a one-on-one or group setting. So thank you so much for that, Joe. Um, and I welcome you and happy to have you here. But basically, getting back to my point about attraction is emotional for women, not logical. So, women are all about how you make them feel. So, when she meets you and she starts to date you, even from the first sentence, the first approach, she's sizing you up to see if her nervous system even feels safe enough to like talk to you, right? So that's why I always talk about when you approach women, make sure that you are not um, coming from a place that's going to scare her or make her feel unsafe. That's why I always say don't approach her from like you talking to her from behind her. That's not going to make her feel safe, for instance. So women are in touch with their feelings, right? They are in touch with their intuition, they're in touch with their emotions, and they're using this to gauge whether or not they want to continue this dance with you. So they're going to look at things like, do I feel protected around him? Do I feel safe? Do I trust him? Do I feel relaxed and feminine in his presence? You know, did he open the door for me? Right? Did he make the effort and plan the date? Does he is he only interested in me for my looks and sex? Or is he going deeper and, asking me questions and acting and showing up and making the effort to be interested, to understand me, you know? So those are the things they're looking for because they're instantly going to sort through if your partner, husband, material, That's just how our brain works, right? even even if they end up with you and they don't end up staying with you, the relationship doesn't last. They're constantly looking for that, filtering through that. So, and they always want to make sure that they choose the correct man. So remember that women aren't attracted, they're going to go beyond looks, right? Looks is only going to last for a nanosecond for them. Yes, it's good to take care of your body, have muscles, do all of that, but they're looking at that not necessarily for vanity reasons. They're looking at that like, oh, this man takes care of himself. Health is important to him. Health is important to me. It's one of my core values. And I'm saying this as a woman, me. So I look for things like that if a man is taking care of himself. And they're going to be looking for those things too, and maybe are you bringing that into the dates if that's something they're interested in. I remember one guy, our first date, he knew that I was into health and wellness and I'm athletic and I love things of that nature. He took me rock climbing for our first date and I was so impressed because I was like, he's listening. And now my guard is down because he's actually listening and planning a date around something he knows I would be interested in, even though I'd never been rock climbing. But it's something that intrigued me. It's something that excited me. It's something that made me look forward to like seeing him and see how this date was going to unfold because he planned it around something that he knew I might be interested in. So remember that when you're going into, talking to women and dating them, like I said, men are usually attracted by this, right? And maybe that will go deeper later, but yeah, I know you're wired visually, but women aren't like that, right? They fall in love through their ears, their heart, how you make them feel, what you're saying, what you're doing. They're observing that constantly. And then they're filtering like, how does this make me feel? Did my nervous system settle when I'm with him? And to you that might be like learning how to speak Spanish. You're like, I don't understand why this would make a woman attracted to me or not. But if you can appreciate it, even if you don't necessarily understand it, but know that that's what they're looking for, your dating life is going to be much more seamless and easy. So something to take note of and be aware of. So another missing piece of the puzzle is that strategy, dating strategies and tips only work if your energy is matched. And what I mean by that is that you can look up so much dating advice, tips, strategy online. And I know men out there love to implement and get results. And so you can go out there and be in action and implement it. But if your energy isn't matching that strategy, again, women are in touch with their feelings. So they're going to feel that. They're going to feel if this is something you're doing to manipulate them, to get them in bed. They're going to be in tune on that. They're going to be up on your game. So when you come into like attracting these women and using a strategy, at least let your energy be matched. So what I mean by that, if you're trying to implement something that you might have learned online from dating and you're coming to it and implementing it through fear, through lack, through scarcity, insecurity, they're going to pick up on that. And it's going to come off very either fake or definitely lacking confidence, right? And being able to shift your energy into the man that they know that they can possibly see that you want to be and are. You are such a great speaker. You're very genuine. Thank you, Joe. Um, I believe that's important. One, I actually learned a lot of how to talk to men through filming YouTube shorts because I know men don't like fluff. Men appreciate somebody who is real, who is truthful, and who's going to cut through the bullshit and get to the point. And so when I come on here and speak and it's a constant practice, right? My intention is always, yes, to be genuine, but also to be clear, as crystal clear as I can be, because I know the masculine brain is like sorting through all the bullshit, the fluff. You know, you guys usually can't take if somebody goes off on a tangent just to get to their point, right? You'll probably get distracted. But if somebody is speaking clear to you, being real with you, right, it gets your attention. You're like, I'm locked in. So thank you for that. And it's a constant practice. But something to think about, like, let your strategy of how you're coming to women be aligned. Let the energy be aligned. Because women, they also work off energy. Like, that's why I said it comes back to, like, how is his energy with showing up for me? You know, what was he like? Well, like, very simple example. How did he respond when I asked him to take out the trash? Right? Women look at these things, especially if her love language is like acts of service. Maybe that is like a way of saying, like, I like you, I hear you, I love you, I hear you, and I'm gonna, like, remember to take out the trash. Like, that may be something that's important to her. And it's not necessarily around controlling you and telling you what to do. If it's coming from a genuine place, like, oh, baby, you forgot to take out your trash Wednesday and we were supposed to take it out. Can you take it out tomorrow so we can get it out? It may just be coming from a place of, like, I want our home to be clean. I want the home to be, like, in a clean, organized space for you to make it easier for you so you can self actualize and not being clutter around, like, our home not being clean. And so if she's on point, she's going to want that trash taken out because she wants the home to be well kept and clean to forward you on your mission. And you might not be thinking about it like that. You may be like, it's just the trash, whatever. But something to think about, like, that's how our brain works. And we're usually, if we're genuine and we care about you, it's usually just coming from the heart. And I will say there's a way to ask a man to take out the trash. So just be aware of that if you're applying some type of strategy to getting women and being in a relationship. Your energy has to be matched with that. And that usually, and what I mean by that is being grounded in your masculine energy and unapologetic while you're doing this. Like, grounded in truth, grounded in setting your boundaries, grounded in telling her how you feel about her or that you like spending time with her. Like I said, women are taking this in to see how it made them feel. And this helps you to be emotionally intelligent a bit, to master that. And I know women and men are very different with how they process their emotions or how they choose to express them, right? But it's something to be in tune with. Like I said, men and women are very different. And I was having this conversation with a girlfriend today where if we can come into appreciating each other's differences and how we're wired instead of trying to control and make men something they're not and women something they're not, and being like, let's harmonize our energy so that this relationship can be the best thing for both of us, not just for the relationship, but on our individual journeys as well. Then maybe dating wouldn't be so hard, right? Maybe it wouldn't be so toxic. Which gets to my third point about the missing piece is this is how dating can be easy and a bit more effortless for you when you are exercising being in your grounded masculine energy, showing up to attract, showing up to lead. And if you actually meet a woman that you're into and you're looking for a relationship and you want to take it there, showing up to claim her. You know, women are listening to your words, right? To intake them to see how it makes them feel. And women like to be claimed. They like to know that I want you as my woman, a conversation about it, something to seal the deal, right? This is why engagement rings are important because they seal the deal on like what we're working towards, right? Maybe it's a prenup for you, it's a ring for us. Depending on where you're at and how many assets you have, you know, etc. It leaves things very clear on where we're going as a couple, as a unit. So show up to attract, lead, protect, provide, and most of all, claim that woman. You know, claim her, especially if she's a good woman, somebody you know that is going to be a beautiful addition to your life. Claim her, because if she's a good woman and she's out here dating, another man will if you don't get on it. And if you're dating out here and you're not really sure what the end goal is, maybe take a break. I'm all about men having their fun, going out to keep it light, to date around, see what you like, because that'll give you clarity too on the type of woman that you actually want. It takes putting some skin in the game. But I'm saying if it's a pattern and you're like dating women and you have no goal and you're getting in these cycles, especially if they're toxic, then maybe it's time for you to take yourself out the game and bench yourself to come to some clarity about what you really want, why you're doing this. And that's why I'm a stand behind intentional dating, being intentional, just like you would be intentional when you're trying to hit a goal financially, physically, you know, business, career wise. Be intentional with how you are in relationships and dating because it can cut through the bullshit and the toxicity of things when you're clear, when you have a goal, when you can speak what you want, you know, out to her and be unapologetic about it. So that's going to make your life easier, that's going to make her life easier. And usually that helps men to filter through the type of women they do want and vice versa, you know? Like I always said, if you're approaching a woman in the DMs, be intentional, be clear. Don't just reach out to her and be like, hey, that is the easiest way to not get answered, get deleted, or not get responded to at all, as an example. So become unapologetic and you're grounded masculine with all these things, and it'll make dating much easier. Yeah, I know it's not always black and white, and dating in general and dealing with women in general, being in relationship in general is very nuanced. It's not always black and white. So I'm giving you a framework, but know that things will occur and happen outside of this framework, right? Joe says dating is hard. Why do you say that, Joe? Tell me, enlighten me. I would love to know why people say this when they do say this, because it doesn't have to be. Lead, are you a child? Don't you have a mind of your own? Ooh, Glenn coming in hot with the questions. No, I'm not a child. Women are not a child, but it's attractive to be with a man that you have admiration for, that you can learn from, and that can help to lead the relationship, that can help also women, especially if they're in careers or positions, and it doesn't always have to be like a leadership position, like they're an executive or they have their own business or something like that. It helps them to be in their feminine when they're with you, and that's why I'm saying lead. That's great questions. There's clarity. I don't know if you were trying to be sarcastic behind it, but there are great questions. It has nothing to do with somebody being a child. It has to do with energy, with them saying, you know, I would like to have a man show me that he can take charge, that he can lead the way, right? And it has nothing to do with I'm not capable of that. Maybe she's doing that all the time in her life. And this is the opportunity when she's in relationship with you for her to take a step back from that, right? Because feminine energy is more about like attracting, being in the flow, being a bit warm and nurturing. And so she's leading and using her energy in a very different way in the dynamic of the relationship. So that's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do, what you're talking about is controlling, and I'm talking about leading, and they're very different distinctions, very different energies when men have that. When men are trying to be domineering and controlling versus leading, if that makes sense and if that lands. And if it doesn't, you're welcome to ask more questions in the comments. But no, that has nothing to do with that. Um, don't blow air, guys. Landon says, "Oh, Landon, you're so sweet." Landon, thank you so much for showing up in your masculine energy. But men are going to do what they want to do in this regard. And honestly, Glenn's questions were valid. I wasn't taking them any type of way. They weren't disrespectful, but I understand why that may trigger some men. But it has nothing to do with that. And if you're here and you're getting triggered, it's something you can explore. I like triggering men because that's bringing up a wound that maybe you didn't know is unresolved within you. It has nothing to do with me. And whatever I said may be the catalyst for that. But I've done enough inner work on myself to understand and know that. So, but thank you so much for that, Landon. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome for being here in the conversation. Joe says, in the past, I've been rejected because I was told I was too nice. Well, but does that make dating hard? No, it actually may make it easier because look, at the end of the day, it's feedback. Feedback without just without taking the emotion out of it, feedback is just data. And you either choose to take the feedback and do something with it or not, or you can leave it where that person told you. If that woman told you you were too nice, well, it's something you can explore, or just be like, I wasn't too nice, and move on. But when people are using that word, they're usually using it and they may be using it. I can't assume. I'm not going to assume why this person told you this, but they may be using it in a from a place of like they felt like they can run all over you, like you were a doormat, like you would have a hard time stepping into leading the relationship or stepping into your leadership energy, right? So, I mean, that can mean so many different things. I don't know what too nice mean, but I know when I make videos on it, I'm talking more to men who are nice, to people please, to be overly giving to the point where it's taking away from them. It's taking away from their own energy, where they have no boundaries. And at the end of the day, it's they're doing it out of getting their needs met or from an abandonment wound, like they're scared this woman's going to leave, so they're willing to do anything and everything to please her so that she can stay, right? So that might been what the energy they were picking up on, but that doesn't mean you're not worthy or you're not good enough. And that's why I said you can take what they told you and be like, okay, it's data and feedback. Maybe it's something for me to look at, you know? Especially if you're in relationship with anybody and you don't have any boundaries, then it's like you're disrespecting yourself and you're telling them my nothing about me matters and you can treat me any type of way. You can talk to me any type of way, you can treat me any type of way, and I'm still going to be nice to you, right? So that might not actually be a rejection. That may just be a way of them saying we're not compatible. And they're clear on what the qualities they're looking for in a man. And that doesn't mean you're not good enough. That just means, okay, he doesn't have those qualities, and I'm going to give the feedback if he's open to it, and we can part our separate ways. Now, would you rather have had this person be like, "Oh, they're nice. Let me see if I can use him for all I can get out of him because he's so nice, and I have him wrapped around my finger. Let's see how much I can get out of him." And then, they end up using you. So take it as I dodged a bullet. Or this person's a good person. At least they're going to tell me the truth in their own experience of me. And we can part ways and move on. Right. And it doesn't have to be um, from an argument or conflict. So it's something to look at. And Joe, thank you for being open to the feedback that I just said. And you said that makes sense. So if it makes sense for you, great. Something to look at and be aware of within yourself. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you need to be fixed. Maybe, they see the potential in you for you to really step into your masculine a bit more. And that's why they're saying that. I don't know. And if you're looking at it as a rejection, you want to look at, am I internalizing her response? And if I take the emotion out of it, what is this really about? What is it bringing up for me right now? What is this, how is this making me feel, you know? And then you work from that, because it really at the end of the day had nothing to do with that person. So you don't have to internalize their response if you're interested in somebody and they're telling you something that you don't necessarily want to hear. But it may be good for you, because it can bring some clarity. It can be an opportunity to learn. It can be a lesson. It can be an opportunity to grow, or not. Like I said, you could just be like, it's feedback and I don't need to look at it at all. I'm gonna keep it moving. So, but thank you. But that doesn't mean dating has to be hard because of that. I know, and I'm very empathetic to men for this, because I know up front in the beginning stages of dating, like even the approach to women, you all get, for lack of a better word, rejected more than maybe than women are, because we're constantly getting approached here and there. But on the flip side, we're getting rejected too. It's not necessarily in that way, but maybe like you're a woman, you start dating a guy, you end up liking him, you have feelings for him, he's somebody you really want to be with, and he's like, nah, I'm not interested in, yeah, moving it forward, having a committed relationship with you. I'm cool with where we are and how we're doing things now. So we're looking at that as like a type of rejection, because it's like, wow, I have now had feelings for this man. I'm emotionally connected to him and bonded with him. And now I've expressed this. And he's like, nah, he's good with where we are right now. So, and some women will choose to run with that and take it into a situationship, or they think they're going to change him, or he going to change his mind 3, 6 months, a year from now. And they'll stay in those situations knowing it's not what they really wanted. And but it's still like, we look at it as a rejection. Even if they're choosing to stay, it's like, well, we're not creating a win-win here, because both of us, he wants this thing and he's okay with it staying this way, and I want something else. So I'm empathetic to you all, because you all get it right up, can get the rejection right up front. Like, obviously you're usually approaching the women, they could say no, right? You may take them out on a date. After that, they might not be interested. But this is why I always say it's good to meet and approach women in person, because you can go through that really quickly instead of on the DM. It may be long and drawn out. And also being able to filter out, even if you're filter out better if you're even compatible with a woman, so you won't be like, I don't want to say wasting your time, so you won't be like just take arbitrarily taking somebody out and they going to turn you down anyway. But that's the dice you roll when you're out there putting yourself out there. That's the risk you take. Sometimes without risk there's no reward. It's the same thing if you were putting $10,000 in crypto or your investment portfolio. The market is going to change. It's going to go down. It's going to go up and down, right? So there's a way to try to filter that out a little bit so you can know that the ROI might be different, um, for lack of a better word. So it doesn't have to be hard, but I know it can be discouraging if you like constantly approaching women and they're turning you down, or you actually like meet somebody you like, then you like get turned down again. You're like, damn, I can't get enough. But that's that can be a good thing. It can help your skin get thicker. It can help you be like, dude, she wasn't the one for me, and it's fine. Like, so it's all good. See if you can take it a little bit lighter and just know that this comes with the territory of dating. It's not going to be perfect, right? You're going to have to filter through a few people, a few or more people, and that even happens in relationships. You can be with somebody you're not compatible with, and it might be heartbreaking sometimes to get out of that, to experience the breakup. But with a breakup and a breakdown, a comeback can happen as well. And that's why I say, dating and relationships, you'll learn a lot about yourself, especially with relationships. It is the best playground for growth individually, for growth as a couple. You'll learn so much about yourself because that person is constantly mirroring back to you, right? The shit that you get to heal, right? Your triggers, all of those things. So, Joe says you are so classy and educated. This has been the best live stream. Thank you. And thank you for chiming in on the conversation. I love when guys come in here and chill with me and comment and interact. Even Glenn over there, sounding kind of sarcastic. He or she, I don't want to assume it's a guy, did ask some great questions. So, and maybe I might even make a longer video on that based on what he asked. Something to think about, because it's important to use my words intentionally when I'm talking to you. Oh, subscribe. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening. But also giving me something to continue the conversation on, right? I'm not a guru at the mountaintop. I'm still learning. I remember one guy was in a live that I had not too long ago, and he was like, "How did you learn all this?" And I'm like, dude, it's from experience and me studying men and me reading books that are written for them and me listening to podcasts for men or in relationships and my own experiences and my own healing, right? This whole mission of mine stemmed from me not having a relationship with my father for so long. And then the repair on that, and then being like, oh, this is the type of things that can happen in relationship when men don't work on themselves, when they don't want to do the inner work on themselves. And I'm not saying my dad is a bad person because he doesn't do inner work on himself. That's just not something he's come to, right? He's very introverted and very to himself. So whatever his issues and problems are, he's trying to sort them out the best way he can by himself, which, yes, that plays a part, but there's also going to come to a point where you can be like, maybe I can get an outside opinion or get some outside support, right? So Joe said, for me, I'm a little introverted, so it's kind of hard sometimes. Yeah, I understand. My dad is the same way, and I understand that. I made a video about why introverted men are awesome. And one thing I do know about introverts, just in general, you are very deep people. And so things not only hit you deep, but you are very observant, which is a great quality to have. You are great at listening, active listening, which is awesome. That's a part of being grounded in your masculine energy, being able to observe and listen actively. And when you speak, and say things, like even when you're doing it here, Joe, being an example, you're very intentional with your words. You're very intentional with what you say, who you say it to. Usually relationships are very important to you, and so you're not going to have surface relationships because it's already uh, a lot for you to have social interactions with people. So you usually can't stand for the bullshit or like surface level friendships or relationships. You're very deep people. And so just because you're introverted doesn't mean anything about you other than you have a damn superpower that a lot of extroverts don't have. Because I'm very extrovert. I can be introverted too, but introverts are very deep people in my experience, very wise too, because you're so observant and you're so intentional and you're so comfortable with your own energy. Right now, the extreme part of that is that it can be very easy for you to isolate, right? Which is not healthy because we are animals. At the end of the day, we're meant to be in community and be with people. But one thing I do know about introverts, they're very wise because they spend a lot of time, they can spend a lot of time recharging their batteries. And in order for you to do that, you have to be by yourself to do that, to recharge your energy. And you're very mindful of your energy in different spaces. So you all have some magnificent superpowers. And this is why I did a video on this for introverted men, because sometimes they talk about that as that's a setback for them in dating. And I actually don't think it's a setback. I think you get to use you know this and you can harness it as your superpower because you guys can make awesome partners, really awesome partners. And I also feel that because you're so wise, you're so deep and so observant, you all are very thoughtful. At the end of the day, you're still human, right? You're gonna have your shit with you. You're gonna have your flaws. Not, I'm not saying all introverted men or people are perfect. You gonna bring your shit to the table too, but so is the person you're interested in. But so, Joe, if you have a chance, go to my long form videos. I forgot the exact name of it, but it has the word introverted in the title. And since I'm a still smaller and newer channel, um, that is like one of my like top rated videos as far as like views is up there in like my top 5. Um, because a lot of introverted men, I maybe watch this channel, or that's something like maybe men who are introverted are looking for different things on the topic and on YouTube. And I realize that, introverted men bring a lot when they want to date and be in a relationship. But like you said, it can be very hard or tough for you sometimes because one, you don't probably won't want to filter through the bullshit of dealing with women who are surface, who are catty, who are like toxic. Who are maybe like a demanding or very masculine, and you got to be careful with that. And so that's why it's important for men like you may know your boundaries, but to be able to state them and say that to somebody unapologetically, because since you are so observant and sometimes you can be very quiet, you may have a hard time like speaking your needs, speaking up, speaking your boundaries, even though you have them and you know them and you're very aware of them. But it may be tough for you to like lean into tension and speak up in certain regards and certain relationships. So if you are introverted out there, I really stand for you to speak your truth out louder, right? Activate your throat chakra. And maybe that's why that woman or that person told you you were too nice, right? Because you're so comfortable with being quiet, being observant, and being to yourself that they made a thought that, that's coming off as being like a doormat or being too nice, because it may not be easy for you to speak up. So one way how introverted men can ground into their masculine energy is speaking their truth out, more, and making sure they speak their needs and express their needs to their partner and what's important to them, things like that. but very deep people and can make very good partners. I actually feel that you all complement extroverts well if you know how to handle one and be in a relationship with one, because you are the energy that's going to be the most grounded in the relationship. And when extroverts are all over the place and using their energy and here, over there, everywhere, you can like ground them, like calm it down, right? So Joe says, I love people. If you ever meet me, you would say absolutely no way you're introverted, as I do love getting to know people, but I could spend days alone and be just fine, if that makes sense. Yeah, and that's why I said introverts are very comfortable with being by themselves, to the extreme point where you can actually isolate yourself and it's not healthy. So something to be aware of. But I think that's why introverted people are like very knowledgeable and very wise, because they spend so much time like going within or within themselves or by themselves. So they're very aware of what they like, what they don't like, what they're into, who they choose to talk to and spend their time with. Where extroverts can be like here, there, and everywhere, right? Because they get energy from talking to people. And I do know a lot. Like one of my mentors and a man I work with closely and do some things for him, he's big on YouTube and he's very introverted. So when he's like speaking up on stage and things, he has to like go, like run to like, or if he's leading a call, he has like a time, right, to cut that off. So, and this is, guys, this is something you want to be aware of when you're out there dating. If you have that type of energy, so it can also allow you to be able to know what type of woman that you want. What type of woman would be supportive for your type of energy in a relationship. And like I said, relationships aren't black and white. They're not going to be perfect, but it's something to be very aware of, knowing if you're an introvert or extrovert, and how you best support somebody's energy and how their energy and what type of energy can best support you, especially women, you know. So I definitely feel that maybe an extroverted feminine woman could best support you, Joe. So however you take that, something to be aware of, so that when you're out there, look for those qualities. And why I say this, somebody who's in tune with their feminine energy and is very nurturing and warm towards you. I think that like energy like that is very, even if she's extroverted, it's going to be very supportive for like introverted men. So thank you so much. We've gone off on a tangent. I'm going to bring it back. So basically, if you're just joining me live, welcome. What I talked about here are just three main points that, no one really talks about, that could be missing, more geared towards men, and something to be aware of when you're out here dating, like the missing piece to the puzzle of your dating life, which is number one, attraction is emotional for women, not logical. So remember, you can't win a woman's heart over through logic, something to be very aware of. Number two, we talked about, I'm all for men having a dating strategy and utilizing tips and good advice that could be supportive in you attracting women, how to, keep a woman, what to look for if you're attracting wounded women and things like that. But the strategy is not going to work if your energy isn't coming from a prosperity mindset, if your energy isn't coming from confidence, if your energy isn't coming from being secure with the man who you are, now. So something to think about and be aware of, because women are filtering a lot through their feelings and their emotions when they're relating to you and going out with you. And then the last thing is, I said, which can be the missing piece that would make your dating life easier, is that you being connected and unapologetic, standing in your masculine energy, standing to attract, but attract through leading, through making effort, through wanting to protect, and, to provide, but definitely being in that leader energy. Your whole results may change when you come to dating with that mindset, and not just that mindset, that energy. It's all about the energy, because then, you're not coming with being passive. You're not coming from lack or scarcity and being, staying in a situation with a woman just because she's, there and validating which, your childhood needs that weren't met, and you're going to do anything to keep her. No, that's being passive. That's being desperate. That's being insecure. You being secure within yourself. And if you feel like you're not coming with that, well, then I always say bring the attention back to yourself. Focus on your goals, set some goals, know your purpose, know your mission, and work to create that every day. Invest in yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, however, whatever practices or things you get to do daily to drop into that, whether that's reading a book for 10 minutes a day that you really want to read, to going to the gym and working out. So things like that, that's going to help you express your masculine energy in the most healthiest way, and for you to step into something that's fueling your growth, your leadership, that's fueling you every day. And that's how then you can come to dating with, that type of confidence, because that makes a statement, and women are looking for that. So something to think about, and come to it with your own flavor and your own energy. I'm not saying being this cookie cutter alpha male out there. I'm saying express your masculine energy with how you want to do it and express it. But how you do that is you bring your focus back to yourself. You show up to be the main character in your own story. Don't let a woman come in your story and be the main character. She's a beautiful addition to your life, and you opening up space for her to come in, right? And be the best version of herself. But you got to show up. You get to show up as that. So, if that makes sense. And if you're a man who's struggling out there, who's insecure, who's lacking confidence, this is why I have an opportunity for you to work with me deeper, which I've only told men on YouTube. I haven't even sent it out email. I haven't gone on any other platforms that I'm on to even talk about it, because I'm offering it here to you first, which is basically the masculine confidence audit. I've talked about this. It's a way to work with me deeper one-on-one. So it's basically like, you give me 60 minutes of your time, and we go into unlocking why you're blocked around your confidence and being in your masculine energy and presenting that to the world the way you want to. We go into basically your wounds, and why that is showing up and has shown up in your past relationships. And I always say this, men, for you to accomplish a goal, whether it's in dating or attracting a woman to business stuff, you got to know where you are and be really aware of your patterns, your habits, and your choices, and where you are, so that you know where you want to go. Right? You can't have one without the other. It's not. This is how you not accomplish a goal, right? This is how you end up continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results and not getting different results. That's the definition of insanity. And so that's why in this session we go into those blocks first, and we also uncover and make you very aware of those wounds that are coming up. And if you have shame and guilt and fear and whatever is coming up for you, so that we can shift that energy and heal it. And so you leave this with a clear confidence plan, and we start to shift it in the session in real time, so that you can leave already transformed. And I've already planted that seed, and we've watered it together. And so, like I said, this is also for men who done the work on themselves but may still feel stuck, especially when it comes to relationships and dating in any way. And coming out of this session being formed from it can have an effect in other areas of your life, not just dating. So it's something to really think about, right? This is like a diagnostic style type of coaching. Yes, I'm going to be actively listening to you, but I'm going to be asking you a good amount of questions so that you are aware of your patterns and the cycle that's showing up so that we can break it and create a new pattern. And then after the session, you're going to get a short recap email from me on the 2 patterns we identified and then the plan that I want you to work on to help you create the confidence that you really want, that you really want, so that you can show up in relationships, in dating, in a very different fucking energy, and then get the results that you want. Because men always want to be like, oh, how do I get the girl? How do I get the girl? Well, how are you going to keep her? Right? Or how are you going to change some things so that you can get her and then keep her, right? And have her hooked or whatever, right? So you can't have A and you can't get to B unless you establish A first, if that make if that makes sense. So we work from the beginning so that you can ideally get the results that you want. That is open at a special price right now. And when I have the first 5 spots booked, the price is going to go up. But this is going to be one of my staple offers, I believe. It's not always going to be open, but it's going to be a staple offer. And so the opportunity and the invitation for you to get it is open now. And I'm going to close it after a certain time period to be able to work with those men and pay attention to them. So if you want that and you're interested, comment the word masculine below and I can send you the link privately, or the link to book the session is going to be in the video description too when I post the replay. So you can have access to it. You can get it right more than one way. But if you comment masculine in the comments below and give me your email address, something, I can send it to you privately. And it's also if you have additional questions you want to ask me, because I don't have like a sales page for it. It's a very simple offer. So I just have a pay link and then a welcome email with a few little questions, and then then you schedule your session right away so we can get to work right away. And then, you know, see how you can create different results coming out of it, right? Getting you the girl that you want. So, that's basically it. I'm looking at my notes on this in case I wanted to say something I didn't say. Oh, and also this made me think because of what Joe said. This is also for men who have an issue with rejection. And after getting rejected, they shrink, which takes the opportunity off the table for them to step into being a leader and being a leader in that energy. Because leaders, when they get rejected, they don't give a fuck. They just take the data and they course correct if it makes sense for them to course correct, and then they keep it moving. As opposed to a man who's internalizing rejection will let that shit block him and stop him in his tracks. And you don't want to do that, because that may be stopping you from meeting the woman of your dreams. That may be stopping you from going out and putting yourself out there to meet the woman that you want, to meet the girl that you want, And so it's something to think about. And if you're letting that stop you in dating, where are other places in your life where you're doing the same thing? You got rejected, or you got turned down, you didn't get promoted, you didn't get the job you want, you're having a problem starting the business that you want or the side hustle, and you're letting that little block stop you from creating the life that you want and you desire and you know that you deserve to have. So something very very prevalent to be aware of. So thank you all for showing up. I hope to see you again here tomorrow. I'm going to go live tomorrow, and if I don't see you here live, I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully in a private one-on-one session with me in the masculine confidence audit. Talk to you soon. Ciao.